Hi, I'm Amy. I'm the librarian here at Alameda County Library Juvenile Hall. We've had our program started in 2001, and now we've been here 8 years. So this is a result of 8 years of work. First thing I have to show you is the most popular books. This is the Blueford series, and the kids always come over here and look at this poster and say, oh, I read this, I read this, I read that. So I just wanted to show you that. But here's the library. And what's really cool about this library is that there's free choice, there's windows, and you can see the windows over there, and there's plants. And that is the most exciting thing about this library. If you watch the other video, I'll probably be able to show you a unit and where the kids they live. But there's no windows, there's no free choice, and there's no plants. So that's really exciting for the kids. We have a standalone library here. It's on the honor system. It's very simple. It's arranged by genre, and the access point for most of the youth is African American or Latino. Now, I don't recommend this necessarily in a public library, but it really works here because these kids are not necessarily readers, and so they're looking to find themselves in a book, and so they find them in the African American or the Latino section because of disproportionate minority confinement. So anyway, they find their books. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 genre stickers. And everything fits into those, and it works really, really well. So we've got Latin American interest, we've got poetry, we've got science fiction, fantasy, social science. Anyway, there's that many genres. And everything is done by that. And also, it makes it really easy because we're in a detention setting, so kids are coming in and out really fast, and they need a book now. They don't need it in 2 weeks when you process the book. They need it now. So when I get a book in, and I'm fortunate I get to use Ingram's, I get the book, I put one stamp on the top of the book, and I put one genre sticker on the side of the book, and then I put one piece of tape. And that is it. I am ready to shelve this book. This book is ready to go out to a youth. And that is what you need, because you need to have books go directly to the youth. So that's how that works. And, okay, so it's on the honor system. It's very simple. There's a book here, and the kids check out. There's 4 books and 4 pencils on the table. Since we're in a facility, you have to be careful about security issues, and pencil is a security issue. So there's 4 books and 4 binders. And they find their unit, unit 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. They find their unit. They write their name, their unit number, the books they checked out, the date they check it out. And again, this is only for my reasons. I can look at that book. I go, oh, right, who was that kid that wanted books on such and such? It's like I can look him up, or I can also do stats off of that. Here's how many kids came from Unit 5 on this date. Here's how many books they checked out. That's all it's for. Then the kids take the books to their unit. In this facility, they can have 4 books in their rooms, and there's bookshelves in every unit, and I arranged it that way so it would be on the honor system. So when they read a book, they return the book to the unit. That way, there's no stress over when's the book due, because they don't have control. The staff could come in and take all their books, or some kid could steal their books out of the room. Who knows? So I'm trying to make an environment where reading is positive, and there's very little way to punish a kid for reading a book. So it's on the honor system. Check it out here, return to the unit. In the unit, there's bookshelves, and that way kids can then have, in between times that they come down to our main library, they can check books out of their unit library, and that's just free form. There's no way they have to sign it out. So the other issue that happens a lot in detention settings is paperback versus hardback books. So when I first got here, they only allowed paperback books. And that's fine. That's a great place to start. However, you're going to get to a point where you're going to want to have hardback books. So my suggestion is to choose a book that they can't say no to. So in my example was Harry Potter. I was really lucky. I think it was Harry Potter number 5 or 6 was coming out, and everybody was reading Harry Potter in the world, as you know. And so I made a case. I said, we've got to have these books for the kids. The other thing that I did around hardback books was when I had a special author that only had a hardback book, I got those books donated, and then I made a case. So they were used to having hardback books for special occasions. Like, we have this special author, they're donating all their books. This is a person who survived foster care. A lot of these kids are in foster care. And they agreed to let that unit all have a copy of the book. And there was no incidents. So I also talked to the kids about, hey, this book is for reading, blah, blah, blah. And then that all sets the stage for you being able to have hardback books. So now we have hardback books, not a lot because of my budget, but we have plenty. So the other issue about hardback books is I do have hardback books that they cannot check out. And that's cool as long as you have other, it can't be something like glass. It has to be something that they can look at on their visit to the library. So something like Do Not Open, that has, just pull out pages, something like Graffiti World that is just never going to survive in the unit. The kids are going to tear out the pages or tag it up. Or this 50-cent book where they have to, there's little pull-out things, there's just no way that's going to survive. So that's what makes it fun coming to the library too, is that there's these special books that they can only look at in the library. Again, it doesn't make sense if you're not going to have glass or something you have to read, but something, a browsing book like that. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is just having a section of new and popular books. Anyway, of course, as a librarian, you know all that. You just have, the cool books in one area. So in terms of literacy, I think the national, what they've studied is like kids in juvenile hall are, at least in this one, they're at about a 5th grade reading level. But what I want to make really clear is that doesn't mean they have to read books for 5th graders. If there's a book that's relevant, even if it has a boring cover, they will read this book. And these are both adult books. And this one in particular isn't that, pretty small type, a lot of type on the page. And this is a book by the guy who wrote the movie Blood In, Blood Out. So all the kids have seen that movie, and they all read this book, even though it's an adult book. Or Ishmael Bea, which is a quicker read. This is actually quite interior. So what's really important is that you have relevant materials for the youth. If it isn't relevant, it doesn't matter. It's not going to work. And if it's relevant, you're going to have them reading things like Cooked, which again is an adult book, a true story of a guy on the streets and his being a cocaine addict and getting out of it. Or, this was a really, really popular book, A Private Family Matter, especially because the author came because of the issue of child abuse. It's a very intense book about child abuse. This is not an easy book to read, but it's relevant. They're going to read it. In fact, I had one girl that met an author, and she told me she got the book as her own personal property. It was a book about a prostitute from Australia, actually, and who overcame that. And she read that book like 3 times. She just read the book over and over and over because she had met the author and wanted to understand what the book was about. So if they're motivated, they will read the book. So this is the juvenile hall. It is a long hallway, and there's 12 units on either side. And so we're going to go into one of the units that don't have kids in them, and I'm going to show you the cells and also the library. So this is, like I said, every unit has bookshelves. And so you have to think about things like how far away is the bookshelf from the living area? Because are the staff going to let the kids go to the bookshelf? See how far this is? We'll show you another view, and it's pretty far away from where the living area is. So it's like creates this thing that the kids have to walk all the way over here. So it would have been better. Most of the other units have the bookshelves in a place that's central to the living area, and I'll show you that. So here is where, this is what one of the cell looks like. And of course they try and just put one kid in a cell at a time. And there's nothing allowed in that cell except for a book. You cannot have a pencil, anything else. So I'm going to take you to the other area where the bookshelves usually are, and then you'll see that it's more centrally located. So in all the other units, I was able to put a bookshelf right here on this wall. And Jody's going to put the camera around, and you can see it's a lot easier access for the kids to be able, for the staff to let a kid come out and walk there than to walk all the way over to that other bookshelf. I mean, these are things you have to think about in a detention setting. So show all the way over to where that other bookcase is. But see, that's pretty far away. And a lot of staff aren't going to want a kid to walk all the way across over there to get the books. Okay, as an aside, here's another issue. Zoom in on here we have to deal with. And I knew about it, but I couldn't, because I had to order all these bookshelves. There's religious materials and magazines. And, oh, it's such a pain. So it's kind of like if you're actually designing something, to think about the magazines and to think about religious materials, which is always pretty difficult because, again, I only have a certain amount of budget, so I just got the bookshelves for me. And then I brought in these old, funky bookshelves because I knew there was going to be all these magazines and religious materials. So that's something to think about if you're actually getting to design it and have a budget and can do all that, is making room for other things besides the public library. I keep thinking of these other little details, and there's a million of them, so feel free to contact me for other information. But when I first began, we did not have a standalone library like we have here. We just had a little library. Kids didn't really come into the library. I pretty much went out. And there's benefits to both. The main drawback to having a standalone library is you have to have enough staff to bring the kids down to the library. Since we're in a detention setting, they always have to have probation staff with them. So you're adding staff on, and it's not just you, which means that they don't always come down, and there's a lot of issues about that. But it's overall much better to have a standing library because there's a lot more choice. The kids get to get out of the unit. The kids, you know, it's just much better. But before, I just had the bookshelves in the unit, and I would go around and try and clean up the unit and rotate the books, and then the kids would see me at that time, and they'd tell me about books they want. I would come back, then bring out the books. So those are the two options, or book carts, or rolling things like that to rotate the books. So anyway, give me a call or email me if you have questions about other issues.